All right, folks, welcome to another episode of High Resolution Life, and my guest here is a special guest because he's already tolerated me being a slightly unhinged psycho person, and he's still here, and this was early on. So this is Kevo Can't Dance.
Hi.
Hi. I'm waiting for people to applaud, and I hear nothing, and all I hear is dogs barking. People of Altoona, I think their hobby is adopting dogs and just letting them outside to bark.
I think you have a dog fighting ring on this corner.
Ooh, that would make sense. Yeah. I better not go outside smelling too much like liver. They'll just break free.
You won't stand a chance.
I won't. I got just enough meat on me that it'll be worth it. So anyway, we're just jumping you right into the chaos here, folks. So he's been kind enough to come here all the way from Huntingdon. Are you in?
Yep.
You're in Huntingdon. Is it Huntingdon or Huntington?
D-O-N.
It's D-O-N. So do we say?
D-O-N's in California.
Okay.
I wish I was there. So.
You wish you were in California. But he's here with his guitar. He plays guitar. I got lots of guitarists that are joining us on the podcast. So do you want to just jump right into it with guitar?
Yeah, because if I keep holding this, I'm just going to keep going like this while you're trying to talk.
I don't care.
No, I'm just
It's like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, but punk.
All right, yeah, cool. I'll play a song. This is
All
this is a new song, and it just got released on Dad Sneeze Records, which is a small label I'm part of, and it's called Many Many Dreadfuls.
Okay.
They say bad days come in threes, it's here and now, you and me. She said, let's take the long way home, we can watch the hand, let's play on shadows. This is not a phase, just hear my ringing ears and broken guitar strings. Dreadful, oh dreadful, I know I got a lead foot, I need to find the crossroads to sell my soul. Oh dreadful, in case I don't have one, I wonder if they'd settle for a desperate folk song. She says, cold, can I wear your jacket with the mischief bro patches? Torn up a sleeve, yeah. Screaming, save me to the unknown with her feet hanging out the window. I said, this is not a phase, just hear my constant fear of failing. Dreadful, I know I got a lead foot, I need to find the crossroads to sell my soul. Dreadful, in case I don't have one, I wonder if they'd settle for a desperate folk song. Not a face, you're my cigarette, I'm your fire escape. Oh, should I speed or break? You're my cigarette, I'm your fire escape. Oh dreadful, I know I got a lead foot, I need to find the crossroads to sell my soul. Oh dreadful, you're such a handful now. Brace for impact and come to collect tonight.
Nice. Sounds awesome, dude. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Good work. That sounds great.
Oh, thanks a lot.
I don't know if you're running a move
I'm
your
going to
guitar.
drop this fellow so I don't keep playing it.
Watch out, you got some wires here.
All right.
There we go.
Cool.
Sounded awesome.
Oh,
Thank
thanks.
you.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming up from Huntingdon and sharing your talents with us. And I wanted to have you on the podcast to talk about the punk world, because I was over in the classical and the opera world and the goody two shoes land. Meanwhile, you were traversing the lands of punk. All right, so where did it all begin, or like where's your beginnings in all of this?
So to do that, I have to go all the way back to my first like inkling of music. Okay.
Okay,
I don't know if I used that word right.
inkling. Yep. Yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah.
All right. So it was when my the first time I knew I fell in love with music. It wasn't even directly punk rock. So
Was it opera?
no, it was
No, I'm
like
kidding.
Motown soul music. I love opera though.
Nice.
Opera makes me cry. So I remember this. My dad, he used to put on like cassette tapes like B.B. King live at Cook County Jail.
Nice.
Jonas Joplin, all the good stuff. But this one in particular, it was this little chubby guy played piano and he sang really cool like Motown songs. His name's Fats Domino.
Oh yeah.
So my dad used to play that over and over again on like cassette tapes, and so I remember him chopping wood. And this dude, my dad was like a villain from the Lorax. This guy was cutting down trees like all the time, and like really unnecessary actually.
Did
but
you speak for the trees then?
Pretty much, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, he was just chopping down trees every day. That was his thing, even when we didn't need him to. I think that was his hobby.
Wow.
So we'd be chopping down trees and listening to awesome music. So I just remember like hanging out with him and then like hearing like, "You make me cry when you say goodbye. Ain't that a shame?"
While he's
that
chopping down
song?
these trees.
Yeah. And like I was like, I don't know what this is, but I feel like it's what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Really?
Yeah.
You had it that early?
Yeah. I was like 6 or 7 years old. I just fell in love with music from that point, and I was huge into history and literature. So I didn't have many friends when I was real little. So like, my friends were books, and I'd go to the library and I'd find books on like.
That's better than an imaginary friend.
Yeah, I had a couple of those too.
Yeah, me too.
But like I would go to the library and I would look up books on music. I'd start with
Nice.
like the basic ones, the Beatles, Elvis, Patsy Cline, that kind of stuff.
Nice.
And then I discovered the Ramones when I was about 10 years old.
Okay, that's where the punk journey begins, right?
Yeah, about 10 years old.
Yes.
That's when I discovered the Ramones.
Yeah.
And I believe it was a cousin or one of my uncles. They had an original Ramones record, and it was Road to Ruin. And I just heard like the 3-chord formula that they had. It was so simple, but it had so much energy that it was complex in a way. And like I always say about the Ramones, like anyone can play a Ramones song, but no one could play it like the Ramones did. It was just.
I love the Ramones.
Oh, I do too. I could listen to them all the time. And they were a wild band because like they could do a whole set at CBGB's in like 20 minutes, and like that was their thing.
Yeah.
And like they would leave you wanting more. And that's what I love about punk rock too. It's the attitude, and when you leave one of those shows, like you kind of wish you were still there for another hour or two, even though you're completely drained of anything. So yeah, that's kind of like how the beginnings of punk rock. And I was like, well, I want to be part of this, so I need to learn the instruments and I need to learn how to do this. So
Yeah.
I lived in like the middle of nowhere. Like we moved here from Philly, but like when I was little, we moved like in the backwoods of Huntington. I didn't have a neighbor for like 3 miles.
Oh my God, what kind of contrast is that? Because I used to go out with a guy who was from Coatesville.
Yeah.
He used to act like he was big city, and then one day I fact checked him. I was like, "Your city only has 10,000 people," and I said, "And it's 40,000 in Altoona." I'm like, "Why do you act like you're a Philly boy?" Because I'd been to that suburb.
Yeah.
Did you ever traipse around Coatesville?
Yeah, and like.
Why do you act like he was acting like it was Philly? I'm like, you act like you grew up in the projects, homie. Like,
I know people like from all around the.
they're all like, "I'm
suburbs.
Philly."
Yeah, it's all,
I'm like,
it's all
it's
Philly.
not Philly. It's a redneck suburb.
I
Now,
know people that are like close to Johnstown. They're like, yeah, Pittsburgh.
no, it's no. I don't try to snow people. I'm like, the closest thing, people don't always know Altoona, but I at least try to say, yeah, okay. Do you know where Penn State is? Yeah, I'm like 40 minutes away from there. Oh, it's the middle of nowhere. I'm like, well, not quite as the middle of nowhere as some places, but yeah. I don't hear banjos in the distance. I only hear barking dogs. I'm gonna stay bitter about this all evening, but it stopped. Do you hear that?
Yeah, dog opera.
Do you hear that? Exactly. Nothing.
The silence is pretty beautiful, though.
Anyway, so continue. So how in the world? So like, was it a work thing or just like your family was tired of that city life? How did that? How did that
Um,
feel going from Philly to there? I
it
would.
felt weird. In fact, I have a really scary, kind of embarrassing story about when I first moved up here. I thought all animals were tame, and so including like wild animals. So, and this is crazy. I have like a phobia to this day. This is not a made up story. So, there was a raccoon in the trash can.
Those things are
I
vicious.
tried to pick it up because I thought they were all like tame, you know. And so here I am. I'm like 7 or 8 years old, and I try to pick up this raccoon out of this trash can at nighttime because I wanted to bring it in the house to show my mom. I'm like, I want this to be my new pet. I had a name for it. I think I was gonna call it James. And the thing attacked me, of course, and I had to get like rabies shots and the whole deal. But what I do
Did it
remember,
bite you?
yeah, it like
Where'd it bite
destroyed
you?
me. My legs have little raccoon marks, like my ankles, like all over them.
What
Yeah.
did your mom say? Like, how did you? Nobody warned you about like
I
raccoons?
she heard me screaming and she came outside and she literally picked it up by the head, and I remember this, and she just like punched it in the face like a bar fight.
That's an Italian mom.
Yeah. She's like 4'9", but like she's pretty badass.
And she just punched it, and it didn't even like. It was probably trying to
Yeah.
claw to get to
I
her.
feel like it was dead after that. She gave it one of those Thor punches.
Now, does she have one of those Italian meat hook hands? Like my grandpa
Yeah,
had them.
she got them sausage fingers.
Yes,
and
that
she
was
has
my
rings
grandpa.
on all her fingers too. So yeah, she pretty
Oh.
much brass knuckled it.
Ah! What a badass!
She is.
Holy crap, that's
to this
amazing.
day. Yeah, but yeah. So I have a phobia of raccoons. That's a little side journey there.
I probably shouldn't tell you. My friends say I'm a raccoon is my spirit animal.
Yeah,
Does it all start to make sense?
I'm feeling it. I'm feeling the feistiness. Yeah.
So when when a guy tried to pick me up, did I not go full raccoon like that one did to
Yeah,
you?
you totally went full raccoon. He picked you right up out of the trash can.
That's me. I'm an Altoona trash rat. What do you expect?
You're the garden in the dumpster fire.
Okay, that's fair enough, but I'm okay with being a trash panda.
Yeah.
I can go to 0 to Scrappy in 2 seconds or less. Oh my god, that's crazy. So what continued your journey into Punkland? And it doesn't even have to just be punk, but just like your journey into music and
So I kind of like drifted away from that for a while too. Like I would say between 10 and 12 years old, like I was like the Jinko kid with the frosted tip hair and listening to Korn and Limp Bizkit. And I used to listen to them like all the time and like sing their lyrics on the bus. I was gonna be the next Fred Durst. And I had this buddy that was like into like the next generation of punk after Ramones, like Operation Ivy, Minor Threat, Black
Yeah.
Flag, like that kind of stuff. And he gave me this mixtape, and I think the mixtape was the part that really changed my life. I would listen to this mixtape front and back. I miss mixtapes, by the way.
right.
That's how I used to get girls back in junior high. Like I'd make them the best mixtapes.
There
And
you
it
go.
would be all over the place. Like I'd have these like energetic punk songs, and right in the middle I'd have like a love song. I'd even throw in like a Backstreet Boys song.
So you could be a professional playlister.
Yeah, I could.
Create the vibes.
Well, this mixtape changed my life. I listened to it front and back, and I still really didn't have many friends because I was
Yeah.
I knew I was different than a lot of the redneck kids in school.
Oh.
And
Oof.
yeah, so I listened to that front and back until that thing wouldn't play anymore. And then I was like, I got to buy a guitar. So, I'm 12,
Yeah.
13 years old. I bought a guitar, and I automatically thought I was going to be able to just be a guitar god. And
Yeah.
like, it took me forever to even make like a tonable noise out of it. It took me like months to learn how to tune the thing. I didn't have lessons or anything.
Yeah.
So I would just pretty much stand in front of a mirror and just do the Johnny Ramone like 3-chord thing like this. And I'm already there, you know what I mean? But yeah, I eventually learned how to play it. I got into a band. My first band, I was like 14 years old. It was just just screaming in a microphone with my friends. That was pretty fun.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you. I always say I'm a loud sneezer because my dad didn't give me enough attention.
They make fun of me at work
That's
because I
not
shake
true.
the walls.
You're a loud sneezer too?
I'm that guy. I shake
You're
the
that guy?
walls.
I'm
Yeah.
that girl.
I wish I could turn my nose down.
Me too. Why is it like my cat? I don't think he's here. But if he would have been, he freaks out and like runs out the room as soon as he hears the when he knows I'm going to sneeze because it's too
Is
loud
that
for him.
Maisel?
Oh yeah, that's Midge. How are
Aw.
those dogs still going? Okay.
They're serenading you.
Yeah. So what you guys are wondering what he's mentioning. It's Midge on my iPhone wallpaper.
Sorry, I can't concentrate on one thing at a time. I'm just all over the place. It's me,
That's why we get along.
rock and roll.
Rock, rock and roll. Is that it, or
So
is it?
when was your first band? Like, I mean, did you ever have like?
I was like 14 as a kid, and we tried to do some kind of pop band, and it was just a fun thing we did at a sleepover, and that was it. We disbanded in like 4 hours.
So that's when like Michelle Branch was like doing her thing.
Oh
Right?
yeah, like 2004.
That's one of my guilty pleasure artists. I like Michelle Branch. I like Nora Jones.
If I just breathe every little piece of me. Yeah.
That's part of my like sad Spotify playlist.
Yeah, you're sad.
Yeah, it's like a breakup sad playlist,
Oh yeah.
which I've been listening to a lot lately. Another story, but yeah. So then I got into serious bands. I got into the emo phase when
Okay.
I was like 15, 16. You know, I painted my nails. I wore eyeliner. I wore really tight pants. You know, I was skinny back then. I looked good, and so yeah, I had the hair all brushed out like this, and I was singing.
Nice. Was it the you had the side hair thing?
Yeah, I had the side hair thing. Yeah.
Oh,
It
nice.
was really nice.
How were those times? That was not something I was part of.
Well, in Altoona, they used to have this place called Jagged,
I remember the stories.
and
You probably hung out with one of my exes there.
they had what was his name? Was he an
Well,
emo band?
Wait, I'll mute myself.
You mute yourself. Oh, that name sounds so familiar. That means I'm gonna look it up.
He
Oh,
says it
shoot.
after. It's okay.
Oh shoot! Can you blip that out? I don't know
No,
how to
it's okay.
I don't know how to podcast.
No, it's okay. No, it's fine. That's what makes it funny. No, I mean he was part of that whole emo scene too,
Yeah.
and it's
I
like
saw a lot of cool bands there, and then
Yeah.
I played a couple shows there. That would have been like the tail end right before I graduated.
Yeah.
I was finally getting like,
sorry, I got to remember the timestamp
Some
so
friends
this
and
doesn't
stuff.
become a Neck
Yeah,
Craps on
yeah.
All of Rex's podcast.
I would say like the turning point in my music career though was when I met Jesse Query, who's also known as Jesse and the Ghost.
Jesse and the Ghost.
And this would have been like right after we were both done college. He moved back into town, and we started this like acoustic punk duo. It was called Pitfall Combat, and it started getting a lot of like local attention. We were playing like shows. A lot of shows in Huntingdon. We were playing like frat houses. We were playing like any weird place, basements that would like take us, and we were just like I felt like our goal really was like high energy. We were a high energy duo, and we could match like the energy of
Jesse
like,
still has a ton of
full
energy
bands.
when he's
Yeah, yeah.
performing. You do too.
When Jesse plays, he has the energy of a full band, and I learned a lot of that from him too. Like he's a really unique character. But we'd write weird songs about zombies and love, and
Zombies in love?
yeah, sometimes.
Or zombies and love?
Sometimes and love. I don't know. Just like a little bit of everything. And
Now, how are zombies in love?
he has a song,
Instead of eating one thing, they eat brains.
he wrote a song called I co-wrote it. It was called Bruce Campbell's Tunnel of Love.
Okay.
And then we had a song called George Romero's I forget what it was called, but it was like another kind of like zombie love song. We had a bunch of them. It was really fun.
I mean, I think you were ahead of your time. I mean, who's not in love with a zombie these days?
Yeah, right. But yeah, we did that until it just stopped being what it was, and then from there, I've played in a couple bands since then. My solo thing kind of took off, and that's when I started playing like in the cities a little more, things like that.
In the cities, do you mean like Altoona or like cities?
Philly,
Yeah.
Philly, Harrisburg, Pittsburgh,
Nice.
Jersey, like stuff like that.
Nice.
And what I find hard about that is like when you're kind of unknown and very naive. Like I would take these shows based on like I just want to make enough money to get from point A to point B. I didn't have that much money back then. So I would do these shows with the promise, that, I'd get paid. And sometimes I would drive down to Philly. I tell people this story sometimes. I was promised like $300. I'm like, cool, I'll have a place to sleep. So I had like $20 to my name. I just got to Philly. I got paid in chicken fingers, and I had no way to go home.
What did you do then?
I busked on the street and made some money, and then I got home. So
How long did it take you to make enough money to get home?
just a couple hours, luckily. But
Thank
yeah,
goodness.
yeah. But I've had situations like that where you just sleep in your car in like a parking lot, But that part's actually kind of fun.
Yeah.
Especially if you're like a shady part of the city and you hear funny things and stuff. It's kind of like scary, but it's fun too.
Well, me, I just live in my home. Oh my gosh. Yeah, during COVID, I got these two crackhead neighbors. Well, the one is bath salts, the other's crackhead.
Yeah.
Crack meth head. So it was in the middle of COVID, tensions were running high, everybody's all upset, and I didn't leave anywhere, I didn't go anywhere because it was back in the, oh God, what is this? So I'm sitting in my front bedroom here, my front guest room, and then the neighbors start fighting, and one girl, I guess because the one lady accused the one girl of being a hussy and that she had slept with her husband, and so somebody was smoking a cigarette, flicked a cigarette in somebody else's face. I forget because I was like blazed on cans of Miller Lite at that time. I drink a lot more than I do that. Even though I'm having one, the dog stressed me out. So anyway, I'm not on any sort of mood stabilizer, so just let me have this. Let me have this.
You deserve it.
I did. Treat yourself. But anyway, I intended on only having this whenever I ate dinner, but you know what? Close enough. So she flicked a cigarette in her face, and what was that quote from Tiger King? That Carol Baskins, you fucking bitch. Now I gotta put an expletive, like, oh, we swear on this now. Anyway. Carol Baskin, then she was calling the one neighbor Carol Baskin, and the police showed up, and they were both going crazy, and they didn't know what to do, and the one cop said, all right, I've had enough.
That's cool.
You go in your house. You go in your house. I've had it with both of you.
That's like Front Row Springer episode.
Oh
from
my
the 90s.
God, it
That's
was
awesome.
amazing. I always get excited when there's some crazy thing going on. And there's one time their dog jumped out of the window, broke the windows, jumped out on the roof, and they're chasing the dog around the roof. It's...
Hospital sheets up here, like in the middle of the night's really fun.
We call it UFO sheets.
Yeah, you never know what you're gonna get there. It's
It's like a box of chocolates. So, okay, well, you said something about the frat houses whenever speaking of crazy stories, I'm sure you have enough of those.
Yeah.
Whichever you feel like sharing.
Alright, so this one's a little weird. This one got weird. Okay, so I'm not gonna name this frat house. We turned them in and they got in trouble. I think they got in trouble, hopefully. But we played this frat house, and it was just a bunch of jock bros. Penn State frats get in trouble all the time. I don't have much respect for them. Some of the sororities are really nice though. Like they do a lot of charities. Frat houses are pretty much douchebags though. But we were playing this frat house. We opened for like a ska band. It was pretty fun. There were some other bands that played. There was this like downstairs area. And I'm the guy that'll explore areas I'm not supposed to explore. Like, especially if they tell you specifically not to go
in
to
there.
a certain area. So
I can only imagine what you found. Oh, boy.
it was like me and an ex-girlfriend and, I forget who else. A couple friends. We snuck down the stairs and we found the weirdest room ever. So it had like this like horror movie looking public bathroom, but it had like TVs all over the floor. And I was like, that's kind of weird. I don't know what that's about. Maybe it's just like for looks.
Is it like a ghetto adult world?
I don't know. It might have been. I didn't see any holes in the stalls or anything. That would have been like really weird. But it got weird. It got really weird. So there was like
this is already weird. This is like a fever dream already.
There was 3 mattresses on the floor. Dirty mattresses. There was a shopping cart that had articles of clothing like all through it. I think they were serial killers, to be honest with you. There was a stripper pole. I think that might have been it. Well, we did find...
Is it in the basement?
This was like in the basement, yeah. Jesse found blood in the upstairs bathroom, like scattered on the wall, so I don't know.
Ew! Is that a frat house or the edge of civilization? Or post-apocalyptic zombie house?
It was like a Bruce Campbell's version of frat house, I guess.
Holy crap, then what?
I got really weird. We actually made a song about it called The Jerk, me and Jesse. Making fun of the frat and like how scummy they were because they were like being weird to like the women all night.
Oh,
stuff.
that's what they always do.
Yeah.
Guess what? Spoiler alert: they never grow up. So
yeah.
How much of a tell-all do I make this? I dated a guy who was in his PhD, and he said he doesn't give a crap about me. He didn't care about me when we were dating. He's not going to take the time to listen to this podcast. Joke's going to be on me. This will be the time he takes the time to listen to my podcast. He didn't back then. Why would I think he would now? Anyway, so he was in Alpha Cairo.
Yeah, he popped his collar. Salmon shorts.
Here's the deal. He wasn't really in the frat. He was a friend of the frat. He never pledged. So I dated a fake frat boy.
Minor leagues.
Dude, you should have seen these guys. They were like the dorkiest, and they still showed up like acting like the frat was still a thing, but they were disenfranchised like 7 years ago.
That's
Because
funny.
to haze people to get them to start, they would force the guys to like clean the floors on their hands and knees, and they'd be all demeaning to them. I'm like, I thought frats did way worse things than this, but that was the one. I guess they pissed off the wrong person. But
So they're gonna be like balding in the middle of their head and still have visors on, playing flip cup in their 40s.
that's what they did. That's what they were doing.
Yeah, I know what they're about. Yeah.
That's what they were doing. So you guys were making fun of the frat guys. I
I
didn't
can
know.
make fun of frat guys all day. I was making fun.
This is why we're friends.
I was making fun of them while I was performing. I don't care.
Okay, I was wondering. I was like, I didn't know because I don't know this dynamic. Is it like do punk and frat guys? Because like frat guys are all just kind of assholes, aren't they?
Yeah, pretty much.
They're all trust
I don't know
fund.
why they booked a punk show in the first place.
Why
I
was-
think
why
it was
did-
supposed to be for like some charity or something.
Did this
but
happen a lot?
We played a couple frats. There was a cool frat in State College. It was like an environmental frat. It was called Houseosaurus, and those parties got really wild. You might. I don't know if you want to edit this one. It's gonna be kind of weird, but sorry. All right.
We're here now.
All right. So there's a lot of layers to this story. Okay.
Oh boy.
So there's a place
Good
called
thing I have wine.
Houseosaurus. They would have a rave upstairs, so they would pack. I don't know how they packed so many people in this house. They'd have like a rave upstairs, and downstairs they'd have like punk bands play.
Okay.
And so me and Jesse were like the opening act of a bunch of bands that were playing that night. And we had this friend that we called him Salty Tom. And we called him Salty
Is
Tom.
he a pirate?
No, this was back in the bath salt days, okay? Like when that.
Like my neighbor?
Yeah, like your neighbor. So we called him Salty Tom, and it wasn't very nice to call him that because
That's funny!
this guy lost 100 pounds on just pure bath salts and rage. And he disappeared, and I don't know what happened to him. I haven't
Wait,
heard from
don't
him
tell
in like
people
10
that.
years.
That's gonna be the next. What is that? What is that diabetes drug that everybody's taking to lose
Oh, I
weight?
forget. I hear it on like pods all the time.
Oh, oh, damn it! I can't remember
Let
right
me
now.
know if you hear about it. I'm gonna like get some.
I don't advocate that. Joe Rogan doesn't advocate that. He
I know.
doesn't like fat people.
I like to.
You're not. No, you're not.
I still got the chunks.
A little bit.
The chunks.
That's what Italians always do. We always go up to like chunk and then we back off. Then we reevaluate our life choices, cut back a little on the pasta, and then we go back. We're
It's
like,
hard to back off.
we fluctuate. If you look at any pictures of people with like Mediterranean heritage, you get real close to fat, but you never quite go over to obese. Now some people do. If you,
I'm like in
The
my
Sopranos.
300 trimester of fat though.
I can't tell you what to do on that one. I don't.
This food baby,
Bath salts,
this food
no.
baby ain't coming.
That's it. That's it. That's it. So okay, Salty Tom.
Salty Tom, he was raging that night.
Uh-oh. Is
And
this
he
after
was-
bath salts?
He must have took a lot of bath salts. He was raging that night. He was pacing back and forth. He was sweating. He was going crazy. And me and Jesse, we would sometimes do some funny things like on stage. It was part of our act. And we'd smash guitars full of confetti. Like it was, we'd do funny things
Yes!
like that.
You guys sent me those videos.
Yeah, yeah. Well, on this particular night, we took a piñata and we stuffed it with candy, but then we stuffed it with like condoms that we took out of the package and put lotion in them.
That's funny.
It's gross.
That's funny.
We were in our 20s, And Salty Tom didn't let us throw it into the crowd. As soon as we grabbed it and we were going to toss it, Salty Tom went into a whole full bath salt rage, and he slammed it against the wall and he started punching it, and it just like blew up everywhere. And it scared a lot of people. So.
Did he like attack it like a cat that went after some kind of like? I imagine when cats are just mad at some random thing and they go midair and just nah. I'm imagining he did that.
Yeah, he attacked it like the previews of like Cocaine Bear.
Oh, that's amazing. There's no way I'm taking this out of the podcast. Even if you ask me to, there's no way I'm taking this out.
He was a bath salt bear.
Is he okay now?
I don't know. Someone told me he's dead. I hope he's not. I hope you're doing okay, Tom. You were a really good cook. He was actually a cook at Penn State. You probably ate some of his food.
Where did he cook at?
I'm not sure. I don't remember. I remember he used to cook there, though.
May his memory be a blessing.
He might have sprinkled a
Yitkadal,
little seasoning on the food. I don't know. Did
Oh
you ever
my-
have extra energy after a meal there?
Oh, that might have been where my rage night came from. My rage fits.
Rage
Salty
fits.
Tom. Oh no. See, that's the thing. Okay, with that TV show, The Bear, how they have the good-looking cook guy on there. I'm like, no line cook ever looks like that.
His
They-
hair's perfect too. That's what annoys me about shows. What's with the perfect hair all the time?
I
That
don't
dude's
know.
hair is perfect.
Right now, I look like a dead rat. Just like, had a hippie phase with my hair today. You know what I mean?
Tasmanian tiger.
Exactly. Like some days my hair's like on fleek. Today is not that day because it fucking rained. So I'm a little unhinged on this today. This seems to be the vibe for me. Everybody, all the astrology people, even Jesse, are like, it's the Mercury retrograde. I'm like, oh, so I just get crazier. I love that. Love that for me.
Your sign is a meteorite.
I don't know what to do with that information.
I don't know either. I don't know much about signs, but it just felt like it
Too
was
bad
the
we
right
don't
thing
have
to say.
Jesse here. Oh, I feel like
he would go off. He knows all about that stuff. So.
we need to make this happen again, and we need to have Jesse. That'd be nothing but pure mayhem.
He'd
the three of
actually
us.
know all the extra details about some of these stories. So.
He said he could see my Libra moon whenever I'm out working the crowd. He's like, I could see the Leo. He's like, you are about you. He's like, but you're not like me, 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 me. He's like, you go out and you work the crowd, and then if anybody tries to challenge you, you get all Taurus on them because my ascendant is Taurus. So apparently that means I'm really stubborn.
I don't know what to do with that information. I'm born in March. Someone told me I'm an Aries. What does that do? Does that mean I'm happy or raging?
No, that means you know how Rams are? They're kind of just like hopping from.
When I think
They're
Rams,
like,
I think
yeah, but they're like, and they're hopping from boulder to boulder.
hopping from boulder.
And
I'm
workhorses like to work.
nomadic.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's. I don't know. I'm not quite white enough for that. I'm very close, but I'm not quite. Anyway,
Damn
Salty
whites.
Tom. Damn.
Sorry. Cut that out.
So many things happening on this podcast. Oh no! All right, so you had Salty Tom. No, I mean, speaking of whites though, frat guys. Holy crap! Trust fund babies. Oh, that is right. And you know what? They just never grow up though. They don't.
Yeah, so we used to. You ever hear of the brewery? Did you go to the brewery at all down when you went to Penn State?
Which one?
It was just called the brewery. It's like a dive bar. It's next to like Canyon Pizza.
Uh,
They actually might like
I thought-
shut it down now because of eminent domain and like they're trying to fight it right
I
now.
think we were gonna go in there, but then they were doing that line leap bullshit, and then we were just like, no, we're just gonna go back and get trashed at the house.
So that was my introduction to like booking shows. That was
Okay.
like one of the first places I booked shows. This guy named Greg, he was like this guy that would be in the scene and he'd have these awesome bands and then he would disappear for long periods of time and he'd come back and like kind of just go where he left off, the last time. And he was a really interesting guy, but he would like go crazy sometimes and fight everybody.
Oh, it sounds like me.
He's a good dude.
Sounds like me.
He was so smart too. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, he was kind of like the older male version of you in some ways. You know what I mean?
I'll fight anyone. I'll fight anyone in this club.
I know you will. But he gave me his like booking dates for like to book. We called it Donkey Show Thursdays or something. We gave it like some weird name.
That's so funny.
And but what was weird about like the whole frat thing with that is, so we would get like the punk kids.
It got weird already with frat.
We would get the punk kids, and then we would get like Penn State wrestlers, and we would get frat kids. So like there'd be fights. So like every once in a
So
while,
are they like warring groups?
there'd be hell of a rumble. Like it was sometimes like West Side Story, It was pretty funny. But those nights were
That's
cool.
amazing.
I mean, the brewery's awesome. I hope they keep it.
Is that still in limbo right now?
I think
or?
so. Yeah, yeah. The brewery, Music Mart, and Canyon Pizza. Yeah.
I love Canyon Pizza.
I know they might. Eminent Domain might like expand their parking garage. So which is pretty lame. Because yeah, right. Exactly. So if
Bad part of America.
sign the petitions and go up there and riot and stuff.
I'm down. Don't tell me that. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, no, I was very boring. I was studying by the time all this. I was in school and being a giant nerd. My books don't give it away or anything like that. The piano doesn't give it away. I was very much on the nerd side of things, so it's very fun living vicariously through you in this time capsule. So that was the State College area. How was the Altoona scene? So you had Jagged Street. Where was the other punk pockets?
Those would just pop up. So McGarvey's always had some really like cool punk bands, and it took a while to get into that. I finally like saw some bands there and became friends with them, and they started giving me shows there. So
Nice.
yeah, and I'll always respect McGarvey's and what Richard McGarvey does there. It's an awesome scene. I wish there was some more scenes. For a while they had a spot where the old strip club was. I forget what they called it, the Tin Cup. That was what the strip club was called, I think. But they had they would put on DIY shows after that place closed.
I can't remember.
Yeah, so it was they had some cool bands play there. Like I opened for the Parasites there and stuff. But yeah, I wish there was more stuff in Altoona. I'm probably like missing some of the.
It's better
There's
than
probably a venue around here that's doing it right now, and I'm too old now to know.
It's better than it used to be. I don't know. I think I mean, the breweries that are cropping up here like crazy, they're spreading like wildfire. There's a new one coming in where the Iron Pint used to be. It's Wild Brewing Company. They're cool because they had a Belgian triple, and they gave me a compliment on me getting a Belgian triple at the Rails and Ales. Overall, a good experience. We're not getting into it. It's too soon. Um, too soon. But it was good, and they were like, "Oh yeah." I said, "What is it? Is it triple or triple?" They were like, "Well, if you're from Belgium, it's triple." And they said, "So we're just gonna let you say triple." I'm like, "Yes, my students from Belgium, so proud," because I said triple. So, and then they have, I guess, is there some? I've heard rumors there's a new brewery that's connected with Mama Randazzo's that's opening down in Juniata.
Yeah, I
There's
think
like
that's
all
really
these
cool.
different places, but I'm not really sure that those places are a punk scene.
Well, I'm kind of just starting to get more into like I run the open mic at Juniata Brewing Company, but I'm like kind of getting into like all the other open mics that are going on. I like to like go down and support.
Yeah,
And,
like where
watch.
did open mics used to be as much of a thing
No,
when we were
no.
younger?
Well, you mean yeah, there was a couple, but now there's like you can probably go to an open mic every week, and I think
Oh,
that's
yeah.
really cool, especially for new artists that are trying to like hone their craft and stuff like that. And I'll tell you right now, I have never seen so many talented people. Like, there's always been talent in this area, but
There's so many now.
there is like a ton of.
We
like,
need another plague. It gives people time to learn
It
something.
must have. I don't know, but yeah, like the one we went to last week. What was that at? No, Roaring Spring.
Yeah. Yeah,
That,
yeah.
that one was really cool. They had this guy named Nate. I think he finished the evening,
Yeah.
and yeah, that kid blew me away.
Nathan Glunt.
Yeah, he was really good. And
Oh, he's good.
There was this older hippie lady,
Sally.
and she was really awesome too. I wanted to talk to her. I bet she has some really cool stories. But yeah, I just love meeting new musicians, booking new musicians, talking to new like musicians and stuff. Doesn't necessarily have to be like punk stuff.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, myself, I'm like kind of branching out of that a little bit now. Like I've always been, like I said, if you go all the way back to the whole me listening to Fats Domino, like I love Otis Redding and Sam Cooke, and Mavis Staples is my favorite musician of all time. Like soul music's where my heart wants to be, but punk rock's kind of where it is, you know. You know, I just love music.
Exactly.
I'm a nerd.
Yeah. Well, I'm a nerd too. I'm trying to think. Yeah, that was a whole different part of my life that I wasn't involved in, but I don't know. There was always a little bit of a punk vibe that was hiding within me. Like, yeah, who the hell are you? Fuck you. Who? That's kind of a very punk, right?
Well, like I was saying,
Like who the fuck are you to tell me what to do? Like,
your comedy act is very like punk rock. Patti Smith, take no prisoners, just straight right at your face.
it's not raunchy.
It's not raunchy.
I don't lean into raunchy.
It doesn't have to be raunchy. In fact, it's like it's more shocking than raunchy sometimes because it's gonna like when you were at the open mic last week, there was a couple of times when I was like, or you can even see it in the video. Like I'm like, oh man,
Yeah, with
gosh.
yeah, they were like the
It's like
surprise
she went
Pikachu.
there. Yeah, some of the people like turned away. Like I was like, that's Lenny Bruce. You know, I love that. Yeah, that's
Me
awesome.
off stage too, though, and
That's very true. Yeah. Like it's cool. Like you know, like I don't believe in cancel culture. I do believe in accountability. You know
that
what I mean?
I'm
Yeah.
with you on that one.
Yeah. So you know, as long as whatever artistry that you're part of is not there to oppress other people,
Yes.
I mean, I'm on board for anything. So like jokes can be really funny and in a way sometimes you know, sometimes like over the top and crazy, but not, and they can be offensive per se, but as long as they're not hurting anybody, then just do it, you know.
It does hurt. The jokes will hurt people a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah.
My thing is, I think you got to make sure it's a worthy target.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's
yeah.
my thing. I am absolutely combative in targeting in my comedy. I guess maybe I could talk a little bit about my comedy stuff and why I feel like I vibe with the punk vibe, because that's not, and we were talking about collaborating on a song for our show this weekend with you and me and Jesse.
Yeah, yeah.
So Kevo Can't Dance, Annette Margaret. I'm going by Margaret because if for some reason I would get married again, I do believe in taking a guy's last name because I'm sick of my last name rhyming with bagel.
Can I call you Marge?
That's fine. What? Why though? That's my middle name.
Marge.
Actually, the Yiddish diminutive form of my middle name would be Mitzi.
Mitzi Marge.
Mitzi Mitzi Marge!
That's such a Golden Girls name.
Oh my God, Mitzi Marge. I do act like an old lady. People are always... Two things. People are surprised when they meet me if they only see my name. They're surprised that, one, I'm not an old lady. Two, they're surprised I'm not a black woman. People meet me, they're like, but you have a black girl's name. I'm like, I don't... What is that noise?
It's not dogs.
Is it my washer? It's fine. Rain Man, I gotta count my books. What am I gonna do? That's a lot of books. People are always surprised. Like, I speak 6 languages, play the pipe organ, I play piano, I sing opera, and they expect me to be normal. Annette, why are you not well adjusted? Well, can you speak Arabic? Can you speak Mandarin? Can you speak Hebrew? Can you speak Italian? Do you play 3 instruments? No. Just leave me alone. Let me be crazy. That's another thing
I wish I could do half of that stuff.
No, you don't, because then all of a sudden you're like, what's that noise? Like, no, like, it's nicer to be just well-adjusted and somewhatly normal.
I think there's chaos in, like, every artist's life. Like, I'm, like,
yeah.
a germaphobe OCD, you know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, everything in my house has to be just so. I'm not too crazy about it, but there's, like, little pockets of chaos you can probably see.
And you're an artist. You paint, too.
Yep. He's talking about this.
Sorry, made you get up.
It's okay. I committed to finish this painting. I never have yet.
It looks pretty.
Thank you. It's called Blue Mountains, because the Blue Mountain Ridge is not far from here. So I need to finish this part with the clouds, and you know what? Maybe today I'll start to do some of that. It needs to be finished. I need to commit better to finishing paintings.
I want to live on a house in that painting with all my pugs.
Hell yeah. But I feel like the punk movement, and I feel like it would just make sense that I get along super well with the punk movement, because it has a lot of, like, down to earthness about it. Like, how much of the, like, history of the... I'm sure I'm asking you a stupid question right now, but the history of the punk movement, how would you explain that to people? And it was like in the UK, right?
Well, it's crazy, because before punk there was, like, this thing called proto-punk, and it was, like, the 60s garage bands that...
In the USA, or was that still...
It was a little bit of both, actually.
A little bit of both?
Yeah. So you had like some of those 60s. There was a band called the Real Boys, and Question Mark and the Mysterians. The Zombies. A lot of those bands that kind of came out of the woodwork in the early to mid 60s. They were kind of like garagey bands, and it was heavily distorted. And it was some of this when they played live. It was a lot faster paced. So I'm trying to think of this one band, the Rivieras. Okay, so the story is that either one of the members of the Ramones or one of their cousins or friends, like, were just talking about this band, the Rivieras, and they were spinning one of the Rivieras albums that had the song Wild Weekend on it. If you listen to the song Wild Weekend, it actually sounds like a slowed version of Blitzkrieg Bop. It goes
Oh, yeah.
So I feel like Johnny Ramone, like, was sitting in a garage and just played it as fast as he could, and he was like, all right, this is what we're gonna do.
This is the vibe now.
Yeah. So Yeah, I mean, proto-punk, and then all the proto-punks, like, there's one thing about me is, like, I'm huge into history, so...
That's why I was like, I know he's going to know this, so I'm just going to let him go.
Like, here's the way I see it, like...
I open the gate, the horse runs out.
So, yeah, it's like a tree stump, and it all branches out, like, jazz has a lot to do with punk, all of it.
Yeah.
So, you had proto-punk, and before that, you had rockabilly. Before that, you had
the beginnings of like soul music, blues music.
Yeah, I would imagine that would be connected.
Yeah. So, it just keeps going further and further back. In fact, you can pretty much trace rock and roll to one place in the world, and it was the Dockery Plantation, and that would have been in the 1910s to the 1930s. It's where all these sharecroppers lived. So you had like Charlie Patton, you had like Robert Johnson's Son House, Leadbelly, all living in this 1,000-acre farm. They all had like little houses, sharecropping. It was,
And that's kind of like a hook in with the blues, right?
yeah. So it was an unfair thing during the Jim Crow era. Years after Reconstruction, where they were like, you can own this land after you work it and give us some of the crop for
and that's
many years, and they were never able
yeah.
to get out of that debt.
No.
So these people would work like 16 hours a day. Most of the time, they were drinking a lot, But they had all these shacks on the outer skirts of the Doherty Plantation, and they call them juke joints. So when they got off of work, they would just party all night and
Can you blame them?
Play music. Yeah, exactly. And like, like the song Black Betty from the 70s?
Oh, yeah.
That's originally a Leadbelly song. You know the song Midnight Special?
Yeah.
That's a Leadbelly song. Like, the song House of the Rising Sun?
Yeah.
That's a Leadbelly song.
I love that song, though.
Yeah.
I love that song.
You know what that song's about? It's about a syphilis outbreak in a brothel.
One of my bits is it's all fun and games until your face melts off.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen Out of Africa. People wonder why I'm so, like, boring, why I don't want to go out with a bunch of guys. I'm like, syphilis is a thing, right? Yeah. Like, I'm not saying that to you specifically. I'm just, like, looking at you as a person. He doesn't have the syph. Ladies, he doesn't have the syph. He doesn't have the syph. I don't have his number, but I know his Facebook. So if you like this nice hunk of Italian meat right here, it could be yours if you're good enough. You have to go through me first.
Trying to auction me off here. Shit.
No, I want you to have a nice girlfriend that I could be friends with.
Appreciate it. Must love pugs.
Must love pugs. And what's not to love about pugs? And wait, show everybody
That's my Gertie.
Your Gertie.
She has to vet anyone I ever date. So if she doesn't like you, then
she doesn't like you. You're SOL.
Pretty much.
No, but syphilis is nothing. Dude, it's scary. I think we were talking about this. I looked up these statistics, and after COVID, everybody was just drinking and fucking. That's all everybody was doing.
Having those regrettable COVID babies, huh?
Not only that, some people got worse. Some people got way worse. Having a baby, at least, eventually it might be able to take care of you someday whenever you're like drooling into a cup and don't remember your own name in the nursing home. What's syphilis going to do for you? Just eat your brain. That's it. Then you get an ugly mustache like Nietzsche. This mustache? See, folks, if you need any... Hold on, let me find my Nietzsche book. I'm going to convince you that you should go, if you're a woman, get in touch with a gyno. Who is it? The urologist for you guys?
I think so.
It's okay. You need to get hooked in with these people so that someday you don't get the syph.
Do you got syph pictures or something in here? Oh.
And your sister... This could be one of my new bits. And so that your sister doesn't take over for all of your stuff that you've done as a philosopher. If you become a philosopher, I highly doubt most people are smart enough to do that. I'm always a little combative with everyone. I doubt any of you are smart enough to do that because guess what? She's going to let you grow a really hideous mustache and she's going to make that the picture of you that everyone sees, even though you never wore a mustache and you never sat there acting like you knew that you were smart. Look at this poor guy. He never wore the mustache. I don't think you knew that, Nietzsche.
I kind of like the mustache.
This poor guy is gone from
this. Looks like a squirrel tail.
This is he never wore this mustache. He never sat there like that. That poor man. This is syphilis. It was a huge epidemic.
Did he have syphilis?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
This picture was taken while he was in a very active late-stage syphilis infection. This podcast went in some really weird directions.
It's getting dark in here.
I'm trying to tell you all. Being a hoe, fine, but like, take some precautions. So, especially you Italian ladies, somebody's gonna let you grow a mustache way too long. Where's my girls from Spain? Where's my girls from Greece? Where's my girls from the Balkans? Where's my girls from Italy? Someone is gonna let you grow your mustache. Someone's going to take away your lady razor, and they're going to take the picture of you, and that's going to be the one that's your obituary. Is it worth it? It's all fun and games until your face melts off and you get a mustache.
I think a nice handlebar mustache looks nice on a lady.
Another reason that you guys should hit this guy up, especially if you're Spanish heritage, Portuguese. He won't judge your mustache. Wake up in the morning, you forgot to take care of the peach fuzz, you're good to go. He won't care.
And a really nice lazy eye too, because I don't know if you're looking at me and you can't judge me then. I'm just kidding. I'm just.
You can put that on your. Wait.
I'm just getting as weird as I can.
Both of us. No, one thing I really liked about the punk movement was how now the style of punk, was it that it was a good outlet for, would you say, counterculture, or just sort of being like sort of combative with the government? Was it they thought that style was good for that, or is that just who they were as people and it just gave a voice to that? Or does that kind of tie into what you were just telling us about?
I think like some of the attitude of punk came from some of the like folk singers of the hippie movement, or like the outskirts of the Greenwich Village movement. Like Phil Oakes, he had this song called "Love Me, I'm a Liberal," and it kind of made fun of both parties in a way.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it was almost like an anarchist theme.
I love that.
Which I'm not like. I don't actually. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about politics. I guess I'm kind of a centrist right now.
Yeah,
I can't stand politicians that like are far one way or far the other way, and they're just gonna like vote on whatever their party. Line is all the
American
time,
politics is just football. Yeah. It's like the elections are just the Super Bowl.
I like people that aren't afraid to cross the lines of their constituents.
Bipartisan.
Yeah, bipartisan. Because they actually tell you what they believe in and they do what they believe in. So
right.
There's not many really good ones out there right now. There's a lot of scumbag politics.
Well, they should all have to be like the somebody else has said this before. They should have to be like whenever they're racing in NASCAR, they should have to wear the vests with all the different sponsors. All the different logos.
All their lobbyists.
Yeah, all their lobbyists. Then we can see who's funding them and why they believe what they believe.
Be just a bunch of oil companies.
But that was one thing when I was in college. I did a class. One of the coolest history professors I had. It was. I think I remember her last name. Where's she at? You gotta forgive my brain. There's just too much I have to keep track of. But she had this super cool. Where is she at? I think she's at University of Pittsburgh right now. But she had this super cool history class, and she added like history of punk and the movements of punk. Where is she at? I know she worked. Dang it, her name's gonna come up for me anyway, like later. Darn it! Can't remember her name right now.
When you say darn it does sound like a Marge thing.
Shh. Where's she? It's not.
Come on, get it together, Marge.
I'm not getting it together right now. This is so sad. Okay. I'm not remembering anyone's names right now. This is terrible. Anyway, she had this cool class in college, and whenever I was in college, and it was talking about the punk movement. She made that part of it whenever she was talking about whenever the IRA and all of that, whenever they were, punk movements were going against what was happening with the monarchy at the time. And punk was a huge part of that. Like, they were criticizing everything with the government, and
Margaret
Thatcher. They were going after Margaret Thatcher. They were out for blood. So that was cool at that time. And then I wrote a paper explaining how opera is actually more punk than it actually is for the rich class, because actually Mozart was punk, because the whole Così fan tutti, they're making fun of the ruling class and the rich class, which is very punk.
He actually wrote some dirty songs.
Oh, he did. The one about Lick My Butthole?
Yes, the one.
He wrote the Lick My Butthole song.
He was before his time.
He was. Yeah.
That would have made a really cool rap song.
Somebody's probably already wrote it.
Yeah.
I remember watching Amadeus with my parents, and they didn't like Mozart after that. So they don't like to listen to Mozart anymore. He was very much like Johann Sebastian Bach and Mozart. Actually, Beethoven, all these different musicians that had to depend on the ruling class to pay them and employ them to teach their snobby little kids music. They didn't like them because they always wanted to stiff them on pay. They always treated them like servants. So classical musicians were not for the rich. They just paid them. They were actually very punk. So one of my papers in college was arguing how Mozart was actually more punk and not for the bougie.
I like that. That's cool.
It was fun.
I never knew that, actually, so I'm going to look more into
Yeah. Oh, every single opera that Mozart puts out, he's making fun of rich people.
That's awesome. And he's
there's anything
playing
wrong.
It to the rich people and be like, yo, what's up?
And that happened in the movie Amadeus. Have you seen the movie?
I have, but it's been a long time.
Yeah, no. And the one part he's making fun of the rich people, and and they're all sitting there, and they're like, "Oh, this is great. I love this."
In the movie, who's the guy he had the feud with?
Salieri.
Did he really have a feud with
No,
him? Okay, I
there
thought.
was a
Yeah,
little
yeah, I
teeny bit
figured.
of a
So
rivalry,
that
but
was just
they
for like the movie, like to make extra dramatic.
exactly.
So
But
he
it
really didn't work him to death or whatever.
he I would say that the way that he had to live his life, he was worked to death. That
Yeah.
part was not fake. Costanzi like being a pillar part of his life and like saving his music works, yes, because he did throw it in the fire. We did still lose some of his works from that, and they were just going to get out of there. You know, that he was just going to start to get into some good financial um like us musicians, we're terrible with money. It's something that we just do. We're just not. I'm not. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah, we load up
I'm okay
eight
enough with
thousand
it.
dollars of equipment to make $50 at a show.
You know what? Can't take it with you.
That's
Can't
right.
take it with
That's
you.
right.
Um, no, I'm kidding. I say that as I'm sitting in a house that I have a mortgage on. I'm not good with money.
In the same boat.
Yep. I'm like, oh. So anyway, that's not true. I just have to point that part out. I'm okay with money, better than the average musician. But Mozart was actually going to get out of, he was like majorly in debt. He had no money management skills, and it was his wife that was helping to get them out of it. Then by the time they were looking like they were going to get crest over that hill, he got really sick and died in his 30s.
He was that young.
He was that young,
Wow,
yeah.
I didn't know that.
So
I need to watch that movie again.
it's a good one. Mozart, let me see. Yeah, he was. Oh, I don't want him to have to math. God damn it, I have to math. But he was very much did not like to have to answer and deal with the ruling class. He was a temperamental musician. Who would have known that we're like that?
I just watched this one movie like last month, and I'm gonna say all the names wrong. Chevalier. It was a. He was like a composer. He's an African American composer during the reign of Marie Antoinette.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And
He was only 26?
wait, Mozart was only 26.
Did I math this right? Born 1756, died 1791? That can't be right.
It sounds like in his 30s.
1791 minus 17. Was it 56?
I think so.
Oh, oops. The dyslexia had that. 35.
We mathing you up in here.
With a calculator. We mathing, yo. Somebody's gonna make fun of me. Continue.
Do you know that the composer I'm talking about though?
I think. Explain more.
All right, he was a person of color during Marie Antoinette's
Oh, that's
reign.
right.
They actually played like pieces. Some of his pieces of music survived, so they were actually able to play them during the movie.
Yeah.
They were like really wonderful pieces of music. And slavery came back in France after during
Chevalier. Chevalier.
yeah, during Napoleon's reign. He brought
Yeah.
slavery back for a short amount of time. So Chevalier, I think he died soon after Napoleon's reign. Maybe I don't think he lived very old, but he was like a child prodigy as well.
Oh, yeah.
With violin. Same,
Ooh, he's good looking.
same
I'd
as
swipe
Mozart.
right on that if he lived in this day. Ooh.
Is that there's a painting? Yeah, painting of him, and
Yeah. Chevalier de Saint Georges.
they have awesome hair back then. The wigs.
You could bring that back. Nobody would stop you.
I could.
Chevalier de Saint Georges. Yeah, he was. Yeah, he had a pretty short life too.
That movie's really good, so definitely check it out.
I
think
just
it's
saw it.
called Chevalier.
Yeah.
Yeah. He lived a really hard life. And Marie Antoinette kind of like she was getting a lot of hate because he was like the head composer
Yeah.
for her court, and they didn't like him because he was a person of color, and she kind of like turned against him and hired somebody else, and then he kind of went into despair after that, you know.
Excuse me.
But
Yeah, he was only 54.
yeah, and he was a really great composer, and he would have been remembered as much as the rest of them if it weren't for the prejudice of the time.
Oh. Sorry, I'm going down a Yeah, he had some kind of necrosis. Ooh.
Is that like
He had a secret.
rotting while you're still alive or something?
Yeah, felt the onset of a disease of the bladder and given his usual negligence. Dang! Paid it little attention. He even kept secret an ulcer, source of his illness, and gangrene set in.
Sounds like a bad way to go.
For some time he had been tormented by a violent fever. His vigorous nature had repeatedly fought off this cruel illness, but after a month of suffering, the end came on the 21st of June at 5 o'clock in the evening. Oh, goodness. But man, I didn't realize there was a movie about him.
Yeah, it either came out this year or the year before. It
Ooh,
was
I'll have to check
a
it out.
wonderful movie.
That's awesome.
I'm always big into like the music biography movies, but
Oh,
then
yeah.
I like pick them apart, like especially if it's ones that like I know, like
Oh, yeah.
about the artist, because they always like either
Oh,
add something or
no.
take something out, you know.
That happened to me with Amadeus because he actually got married in St. Stephen's Cathedral, but you can't film anything in St. Stephen's Cathedral.
Why's that?
It's some like rule about the Catholic Church. It's a sacred
Okay.
space. So in the scene in Amadeus where him and Costanza get married, that's not actually where they got married.
Oh, really?
They actually got married in St. Stephen's Cathedral. And humble brag, I was in there with my college. We sang in St. Stephen's Cathedral.
That's pretty awesome.
I know, right? I'm like, I'm hanging out in the same place where Mozart stood.
Did you film in there? Did you take a picture or video?
I got pictures in there,
Oh.
but you're not supposed to do like large scale filming, I guess.
I would have snuck a GoPro in there.
Yeah, right. But I did get pictures in there.
That's really cool.
Where are they at?
Now, where's that at? Is that
Austria, in
Austria?
Vienna.
Oh, okay, cool.
So that was a fun trip. Where's that at? Continue.
So you performed at Carnegie Hall, correct?
Not solo. I was with my choir.
Tell me what that was like. Oh man, I just took over as the host. I'm sorry.
No. A gnat was
I
in my face.
I just really wanted like.
No, you're
I
good.
just really want to know about that because that's I don't know anyone who's performed.
Oh no, but yeah, nobody ever talks to me anymore. It's always me talking to everybody else. It felt surreal. And it was really exciting watching the marvelous Mrs. Maisel and being like, huh, I was in there too in the scene with Midge and
Yeah.
Bruce and Lenny Bruce in there. I was like, oh, I was in there too. For me, I just it felt surreal, and it's definitely something like at the end of my life. Hopefully, I don't have Alzheimer's. I don't think I will, as far as I know. But it's one of those things that I'll just always remember for how cool it was.
Could you feel the magic on the stage of all the people that have been there all those years? Like, I feel like sometimes like certain things leave auras forever.
The energy was, it was just, gosh, I have images of it, but trying to convey it to people, and I got to be like right in the front of the choir because I'm super short, pays to be short, and so just looking out at everybody and just knowing how many great people were there. It's not an imposter syndrome. I can't believe this is happening. I think a lot of people are calling it imposter syndrome when it's really just surreal. I think that's all it is. Like, I don't think it's this, I don't deserve to be here, blah, blah, blah. Like, no, none of that. Everyone's a little bit of a narcissist. Everybody is. A little bit. There's none of this part of you that on some level doesn't think you don't deserve it. Like, no, that's not true. I think a lot of people, I can't believe this is actually happening. I think is more of what it was for me. And it meant a lot to me back then. Now, I don't, it's weird how time changes you. I'm like, now I think I have a little bit more, like, it's weird when you get in your 30s, you're like, no, you're going to die. So it's like, because I think probably the hangovers hit harder. I think that's why it sinks in for us so quick.
Those 30s hangovers.
I'm glad I went when I was in my early 20s because it was just so much of this transformative life experience. And now there's so many other things I've experienced now. Back at that time, it was the best thing I'd ever accomplished. Actually, the picture's right there.
Oh wow, look at that.
Yep.
That's amazing.
And we sang the Mozart Requiem.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like the pinnacle. And then, but also, after we came back and coming back from that, I was like, oh, I've achieved something great. Now what? So it was just like the greatest thing I'd ever done up to that point. It was super cool, but I didn't realize that wasn't So many people's lives are just put in this is that big thing, and then you don't think of the rest of the story after that. For me, it's one blip. Looking back, it's one blip on the radar, and when that had happened, it was the greatest thing I'd ever done. Because that is the premier place to be for
Yeah,
classical music.
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, and so many amazing people have like been on that stage.
Oh, yeah. And so, I mean, I think it means more to me now to know, like, all the different kind of performers that have been there that are not just classical musicians. I thought of it just in the classical musician realm. Now it's expanded to, wow, I walked on the same place where some of these other amazing people who are not just classical musicians have been.
You ever picture yourself going there again, maybe in a couple years, if maybe your career takes off to
I
that
don't know
point?
about a couple years. I'm
What
scared
like
I'm pissing
next?
too
What
many
like
people.
next week?
No, I'm scared I'm pissing. No, no, no. I'm scared I'm pissing off. This is a personal problem, like a journey that I'm having. The thing that is actually, I think, endearing me to people is also the thing that I'm losing some people with, like just this brutal honesty that I have, and not even the asshole honesty. Like you can spot the asshole honest people, right? No, I'm just being honest, just to be a jerk.
Yeah, sometimes I'm like really naive, and I try to like give every single person in the world a chance, even if they're like evil, rabid humans.
Why'd you look at me like that when you said
I
that?
was trying to make like a funny face, but it ended up like making it
Suspicious.
suspicious. You're not evil. You're nice. Sorry, I'm awkward.
I could be a little evil sometimes.
No, you're not evil.
All women could be a little bit evil. You can't trust something that bleeds for a week and just think it's not a little
Holy
hint evil.
shit.
Am I wrong? 1 week out of the month. They just go through that again and again and again.
I don't know. Us dudes suck sometimes too, though.
Oh, this was the picture from St. Stephen's. Not on the inside. Why is it always given this like crappy, shitty quality? Like, what are.
What is life?
But this is. It's not such a low quality. I don't know why it's giving the low quality.
It's really pretty.
Yeah, it's a better quality than that, but for some reason the Facebook app is like, you only get to see the shitty part of it.
So let's exchange stories real quick. So tell me what was your favorite performance that you've had so far, like as a
That I've done?
that you've done? Yeah. Whether it's at independent or when you were in college or whatever.
Probably the Carnegie Hall thing, because that
Carnegie
felt.
Hall, probably a huge crowd, right?
That greatness. It's not as big of a crowd as you would think, but just that being that close to that greatness that I mm, idolized.
Yeah. I think one of the coolest stories about Carnegie Hall is they were looking for Robert Johnson. Alan Lomax was. He was trying to find all these musicians, record them. So he went down south to go look for Robert Johnson. Found out he was dead. They had recordings of him, so they wheeled a record player onto the stage in Carnegie Hall, and they just had the crowd listen to his music because he had gotten poisoned by strychnine by a jealous barkeeper because he was messing with the barkeeper's wife. Yeah.
Oh,
But
see, folks, don't cheat on your spouse.
that's
See,
what's
then
so
you-
special about Carnegie Hall. Like anybody that's anyone that is
Yeah.
on that stage. In particular, my favorite show I've ever done was I got lucky. I got to open for a couple of like my favorite musicians ever. He's a big indie musician, but his name's he used to go by Andrew Jackson Jihad. He's like this folk punk musician. He goes by AJJ now. But I got to open. I got to be a supporting act on one of his shows, and there was like 500 people in the audience. That's a huge deal for me. Like
Oh,
something
yeah.
like that. You know what I mean? I enjoy playing for like 50 people. That's fun. But every once in a while, you get to play for those really
crowd.
big crowds. And what the best part about that was, what changed my life about that show is like I had been playing a couple of these songs for a while, and some of these people were singing along, and I was like,
Julie Hudson Richards. That was the professor.
yeah,
Sorry, I just
I like
remembered.
that name.
Shout out to you, Julia. I loved your class. Thank you for introducing me to more punk and the political movements behind it. Continue.
Now that's the one that was telling you were talking about how
With the punk, the history of the
class-
punk movement. Yeah, and the
Okay.
class
Yeah,
war,
yeah,
the class
okay.
struggle with it. Yep.
Yeah, that's cool.
Sorry, I
No, you're good. I'm glad you remembered. But yeah, that was my the most important show I think I've played to date, and it's been like 11 years. So I haven't topped that one. Maybe I'll do one. I always wanted to play the Electric Factory. It's called Franklin Music Hall now.
Nice.
Because I've been to so many shows there. I always wanted to. I had a couple chances to perform there, but it's one of those pay to play things. You have to like
Yeah.
sell like 100 tickets. And
Yeah.
ain't no one gonna be buying 100 tickets and go like 3 hours to see me. Maybe one day.
Maybe one day.
Maybe.
Stay optimistic.
Maybe one day. Yeah, but yeah.
Nah, I mean, no. I mean, I think we need your optimism. Me, I was a little bit beaten down, and then I've started getting these little, like the open mic things were just me having fun, and just something because I would just get kind of jealous and pissed off that other people. Jealousy is a very big motivator for me. In a good way. Like, I don't want to take other people down. I'm like, I could do that. Why the fuck am I not doing that? That's how jealousy motivates me.
I feel like that maybe the way you're putting it, maybe it isn't like jealousy or whatever. Maybe it's like
Inspiration.
Maybe it's like
combative inspiration.
Yeah, aggressive inspiration. Yeah, let's call it that.
I could do that. Why the fuck am I not doing that?
Yeah, and
Because I saw people playing at breweries. I'm like, I can do that. So okay, so it's not jealousy. It's aggressive inspiration.
yeah, we'll go with that.
Because if it were jealousy, I would be mad at that person.
Yeah.
I was never mad at
no,
those
you're
people.
very supportive to everybody.
Yeah.
In the scene, and Jesse's the one that told me about you. He must have saw you perform at an
Poor
open
guy
mic.
saw me like I was really mad one day because somebody had
Nah,
sexually
it's not-
harassed me aggressively. Poor
Oh,
guy.
Were you in one of your porcupine days? Where you were in, like porcupine moods where you were about ready to?
No, but I
House.
mean, this guy was
Yeah.
telling me about like what kind of toys he has at home, and he wanted me to come back to his house. Did I ever tell you that story? This guy just straight up sexually propositioned me, and Jesse offered to buy me a drink that day, and I was in the like
Who's this guy,
mode.
Sid from Toy Story. On a serious note, though,
Not those kinds of toys. Not those kinds of
not
toys.
Cool. I would have caved his nose in for you, but.
So yeah, Jesse was telling me, he's like, well, I wasn't sure if you were like mad at me and thinking I was hitting on you. I offered to buy you a drink. I was like, I'm sorry, dude. Men were the enemy at that point. So any kind of quills you got from Porcupine Mode, I am so sorry.
Jesse's like the sweetest dude ever. He always has the best intentions with people.
Yep.
But yeah, he told me about you. He said,
Oh,
you
jeez.
gotta see this girl. She does like comedy, and I used to put on like punk and comedy shows. Half the show's comedians, half the show's like punk music. It's a really great time. And he's like, you gotta come see this girl. So I signed up for the open mic at Levity, and that's the first. Yeah, I didn't even get to see you perform that night. I got to see you perform at my open mic the week after, and I was really blown away, to be honest with you, because
I feel like it wasn't my best work though.
you did great. You went into the crowd, and like.
The singing, but the comedy I felt like was top notch.
The comedy was great, and the singing was great. You went
Thanks.
to the crowd, and like you did this bit about the jiu-jitsu and all
If
that.
the jiu-jitsu don't work,
yeah.
the opera will.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh my God, that was great. You actually like did opera until we told you to stop.
And you were just like, let it go, let it go.
I was about to take out opera glasses and cry.
You were with the little fancy glasses.
Yeah, I've cried at operas. I don't care. I like that stuff.
Oh my
I
gosh.
can listen to that all day.
Oh, I know.
But
La Vincero.
see, I know that's amazing.
Yep.
I can do like. I sound like a cat.
Well, the cats get concerned. Wait, we could do this. Okay, here. Let's see how long it takes for the cats. So we're gonna do something special. Since you like opera, and we'll see if like a crackhead neighbor shows up. So mute your mic. Hit this button.
All right.
We'll see how long it takes for a cat to show up. I'll share a little opera with you guys. There's a reason I didn't sing in this mic. Let's see. No cats yet. No cat yet. I'll keep going. My cats don't like me anymore.
Well, this is the typical cat thing.
Yeah.
They don't want you, like.
You can put your mic back
They
on.
only come to hang out when
Well, they,
we don't want them to.
and I sang
That's
the
the
high
most cat
notes.
thing ever. I love it. I like your cats. That's awesome.
My cats have an attitude
Leave
like
it to
me.
the cats to ruin a bit, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Right? I was waiting for them to show up. Or
I
maybe
was hoping they'd like jump over and like.
I wonder if I have to sing like maybe.
Maybe you were saying the wrong cat words.
Yeah, maybe they like French. I could try German.
Yeah.
Should we try German?
Try
Okay.
German.
All
German
right.
doesn't work. Try French.
Mute. I just sang French.
Oh, okay.
All right. How's it? Ich habe glühend Messer, ein Messer in meine Brust. Oh wie, das schneit so tief. No cat yet. In jede Freude, jede Lust. So tief. So, that was loud. So tief. Es schneit so weh und tief. Where is my fucking cats at? Das Bass ist das mein böse Gast. Ach was.
I hear something.
Ach was ist ein böse Gast. Nimm heute Ruhe, nimm heute Rast. This note will probably get them. Is there a cat yet?
I heard thumping.
Wait.
I heard thumping, but I didn't see
It's probably just a crackhead neighbor.
It's probably just a crackhead. Opera brings out the crackheads.
Like,
Only crackheads watch opera.
I don't know. That'd be better than some people.
I feel like crackheads listen to industrial music. 9 Inch Nails.
Oh, yeah. I hurt myself.
Oh boy.
Oh, no. All right. I think we probably offended enough people by this
What were you
podcast, right?
singing about? Beer and sausage?
No. No. I have a gleaming hot knife in my chest. Ich habe ein glühendes Messer. Ein Messer in meiner Brust. Ich habe ein glühend is gleaming,
Yeah.
and Messer is knife. That's from Gustav Mahler. Das
Is it like
Lied
a
von...
mercy killing or something?
No. It was my fiance dumped me and left me for another man, so I'm really upset now.
That's sad.
I know, right? It's Mahler. So it's kind of loosely autobiographical based on this beautiful soprano he was with. Don't fuck with them sopranos. They'll screw you over every time. Get with a mezzo instead. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. We're much worse. So that's what that was about. It's so it's a 4-song cycle. So it starts with wenn mein Schatz Hochzeit macht, whenever my sweetheart gets married, and then the next one is it is ging heute Morgen übers Feld. So I go out and I check out the nature and everything's great, and then I remember this bitch fucked me over. The next one is ich habe
Please tell me those are the words though.
no.
Oh, okay.
In so many ways, yes. And then the other one is ich habe ein glühendes Messer, because first he's like, oh, I'm so depressed. Then he's like, everything's great, I'm in denial, everything's fine. This bitch fucked me over. Then he's like, I'm angry. And then the next one is Die zwei blauen Augen und von meinem Schatz. And that one is basically, at the end of it, he kind of commits suicide through that song cycle.
Is that the stabbing part?
No, that's not the stabbing part. The stabbing part is the Ich habe ein glühendes Messer, that one I was singing and thought my cats were going to show up, but they were just like, nope, there's a man in the house. This never happens. We're not coming around here. So, the only man who ever really comes into my house is podcast people and my dad. That's it. In case anybody really needed to know what my love life was like. Who cares?
It's okay. Mine's barren as well.
Look at my field of fucks. See that they are barren. More than one meaning.
Besides, my pugs will not allow me to have a lady.
Uh-oh.
They'll get mad and jealous.
It's okay. They're allowed to have that. But, so the last one is Die zwei blauen Augen. So the 2 blue eyes of my sweetheart have sent me out into the wide world. Die haben mich in die weite Welt geschickt. Da müsste ich haben in nehmen alle Liebe Schatz. So she's taken away every joy from me. Then at the end of it, it talks about the Lindenbaum trees, which is linden trees. So they have these cute, like, little whirligig looking leaves that fall down from them. There was this whole German romanticism thing in the 19th century that these guys, it was just a bunch of young German men were all committing suicide. I don't know, it was some kind of like romantic thing they all thought was the best thing ever to do. So maybe
That's so emo.
it was super emo.
Germans gotta be so weird.
I know, right? It was the late 19th century emo. So, auf der Straße steht ein Lindenbaum, da hab ich. So it's da hab ich ersten Mal geschlafen, geruht. So that was the first place that I felt under that linden tree. That was the first place I had my first big pain. So in case anybody ever wonders why I'm a little bit crazy, I just completely translated a whole German art song, part of a German art song there. Please don't expect me to be like a normal person. Just because I look normal and I know how to dress myself, it does not mean I'm normal. The glasses, do they give anything away? So at the end, he's slowly just like sort of descending into whatever he might have poisoned himself with or whatever way he decided to kill himself. And the whole thing even starts with a really slow, like almost 1-1 beat in music. Die zwei blauen Augen von meinem Schatz. And it's almost like a funeral march. Die haben mich in die weite Welt geschickt. And it's just like a slow march. So when I was in my 20s, I was like, oh, it's such a nice, like, part of the end of the song. And it's just like he accepted his loss. Now that I'm older, I'm like, that guy killed himself.
It's like people that use like wedding songs and like the meaning of them it like has nothing to do with love or whatever. There's like certain songs like that.
Which ones?
There's this one song. It's like "You're beautiful." You know that?
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that about suicide or something?
Yes, exactly.
Losers using that as the wedding song.
Right. It's like, oh, way to read into the lyrics and actually have some understanding of the text. But yeah, that was fun. So now you know beyond the comedy. Now I also did the opera stuff, and I was accepted to opera school, but it didn't quite work out, and I don't really feel like getting into that. But so, I still love opera. I still love doing it, but it's hard to make a living with it. It's hard enough to do it with what we do, but it's way harder as an opera singer.
I bet you could do J.G. Wentworth commercials.
J.G. Wentworth, 877 cash now.
That's the top tier ones.
Somebody sang that and is making a lot of money. So I just need to try for those really awkward law firm debt relief commercials. That's my next career goal.
I think opera singers are awesome though. I think that's
thank you.
What percentage do you think actually get accepted into something like that? Like that's like the
It's really
top
small.
plethora of musicianship, you know.
I was part of it. I'm like on the outskirts. I was part of it. It's pretty small fraction.
It's like you're Mozart and I'm Florence Foster Jenkins. I like her.
People probably don't know who she is.
Oh no, she had syphilis too. Do you know?
What do I title this episode? Adventures in Syphilis?
Do you know about her?
Yes.
Okay.
That she probably. Do people know for sure?
I don't know. They think maybe that's why she was so confident in her music. Florence Foster Jenkins was like this singer in like the 30s, right? 30s
Yep.
and 40s maybe?
Yep.
And
she married some rich guy.
Yeah, so she was like a socialite, and she would book herself in these like big performances, and she couldn't sing like she sounded like a cat. Some of her songs sound kind of cool though, like
it's right. That's how she would sing.
Yeah, picture like Axl Rose.
Yes.
If like he did opera.
Yes, that was her. That was her. No, wait. 5K opera. Oh, she tried to do the Queen of the Night, so the Die Holleraka. So she would do. Wait, she wouldn't even do it that good. Like that's what she did when she sang the Queen of the Night aria. I was trying to do it badly in her fashion. I was still doing it good. I had to act like we had to get a little bit more wine in me before I could actually do it in the Florence. See, that's what I could say if I sang a song bad. I just did it in the style of Florence Foster Jenkins. It was an interpretive choice.
We should do opera karaoke.
That would be fun.
None of us can really do it.
God, I sang opera karaoke at 4Ds after speed dating.
Wait, did you really?
I did! Because somebody went and outed me. I think the guy I went out with or somebody that was in our group outed me to the lady who was doing the karaoke. And they said, oh, she sings opera. And she's like, Annette, there's someone named Annette who does opera. And so I'm singing like Foy que sapete and freaking 4Ds.
Did it get the crowd rolling?
It did.
Speaking of rolling, I've done that song, like Limp Bizkit.
Oh, yeah? Oh, I love that song!
But my thing in karaoke is I try to do the most depressing song, like that's possible on their karaoke list.
I like to do the weirdest.
Like I'll do like The Cure, Boys Don't Cry, and then like people will just stare at me. I like.
Yeah, you just completely ruined the mood. I do the opera, so I ruin the mood in a different way. Everybody's sitting there like, how am I gonna bang my girlfriend after this song, bitch?
I like to do like crazy pranks at bars and stuff. Like, do you ever put like a song on the jukebox for like 30 minutes straight?
Yep.
I love doing that.
Yep.
That makes me so happy.
There was someone who did that. It was some kind of cocaine song. I don't know which one it was, but somebody did that at the one derelict bar I used to always go get trashed in.
Me and Jesse, we used to put in like a whole bunch of money for Sarah McLachlan's In the Arms of the Angels.
In the arms. I see a sad cat in it, like with feline AIDS.
Commercials. I'm like, we're gonna depress everyone tonight.
This
if
is
we're
the
not
worst.
happy, no one can be happy.
Oh man, So I'd be sitting there just trying to drink a beer and then like drinking my Miller Lite, and I'm seeing these poor sad cats in the cat carriers.
Think of that dog with one ear.
I think this is the closest I've ever gotten to a version of Rest Save Our Parks. Pure mayhem just happened on this podcast. So, people, if you were expecting something classy, all you got was this. I'm not sorry. Live life with no regrets.
I barely know how to match my clothes, so whatever.
You're fine.
I'm doing my thing.
You match that hat and your shirt?
I used to wear brown with black. That's like the worst thing
Isn't
ever.
that what you're doing now? Stan, wait, you gotta.
Well, it's like kind of like orange, but is this brown or orange? I don't know.
I don't
Am I
know.
colorblind?
Are you colorblind?
I'm doing it right now. I'm wearing brown with black. So the reason I learned not to wear brown with black was I went to this drag show one time with my friends, and this one performer, she was like, "Honey, you ain't looking right," and told me how to wear clothes right. So I thank you, Sugar Bear.
There you go.
Yeah.
Sugar Bear? It was Sugar Bear that told you that?
I'm gonna say Sugar Bear, but I feel like it had sherbet in it, like something like.
Sherbet Bear?
Yeah, Sugar Bear seems like such a basic. Like that's not cool. That's not a creative enough drag name. Drag names are the coolest names ever.
I was at a drag show once and a guy started hitting on me and he was saying his drag was better than my drag. I said I'm just a woman. I put makeup on today. He was like hitting on me.
It was Sharon Sherbert. Like sharing Sherbert. Sharon Sherbert. That was the name. Oh, I love that name. Wherever you're at, Sharon Sherbert, thanks for telling me how to match my clothes, even though I recently just started not doing it again. I need to meet you again so you can help me with my wardrobe. I appreciate you.
I got hit on by a gay man and I think it bothered him more than it bothered me. I felt that secondhand trauma that he just hit on a woman. He was like, "No, you're not." He was like, "No, you're not. You're not a woman." I was like, "Homie, I don't know what to tell you." Like, I know what I am. Like, so I didn't know there's so many different layers to that. Like, I passed off. Like, was my style that good, or do I look a little bit mannish?
You don't look mannish. And I would never tell a woman if she did look mannish. There's like a couple of rules. You don't look anything close to mannish, just so you know.
But I got hit on by a gay guy. Like, he thought that my drag was really... He was like, "My drag is better than your drag." Then he was just like... Then he started going to this weird... my brain, I sort of blocked that out a little bit. Because then he started hitting on me a little bit. I was like, "You do know I'm a woman, right?" Because he was like, "You know what? I need to have your number so I can tell you how to dress better." And I was like...
Maybe it was Sharon Sherbert.
I don't know. I don't know. There's nothing. This is nothing against that. This is just a story.
I wonder what my drag name would be. Do you think I could pull it off? I'd have to shave a lot. Do I have feminine features?
A little bit.
Who could I look like? Like, because usually it's like based on a celebrity.
You could look like, who's that one Meghan Trainor?
Meghan Trainor. It's all about that bass. I got some bass. I got a big butt. No, I'm kidding. I don't know. Yeah, I could do Meghan Trainor. Yeah.
I don't know. How did we get?
I was thinking like Ariana Grande. I'd have to lose a lot
You
of weight.
could.
I'd have to lose a lot of weight, but I have this skin complexion. You know, the little. I'm Italian, but a little bit Latino.
You'd have to do the hair. She's just Italian.
Oh, she's just Italian.
Yeah, she's just Italian.
Oh, why did I think she was Latina? Grande.
Okay. Yeah.
That's cool. She's Italian.
What's her? I think that's a stage
I don't know
name.
enough Italian musicians and performers.
Wait, let me look.
Angelo Buccinelli. Who's that?
Andrea
guy?
Bocelli.
Yeah, he's the blind.
I don't
performer?
think Ariana Grande is her actual name.
Oh, okay.
Ariana Grande Botera.
That makes sense.
Yeah, she's just Italian, I think. I looked this up before because I thought she was Latina too.
She kind of has that look, like I don't know. Maybe it's her like style of music.
Grande is of Italian descent and has described herself as Italian American with Sicilian and Abruzzese roots. Yeah, that's it. Abruzzese. Yeah. Yep, she's Italian. So that'll be your. So you could be what? Kevo Grande?
Chalupa Grande. I'm sorry. Grande sounds.
I always wondered, I'm like, when is my Protect Our Parks episode? When is my Protect Our Parks? And we haven't. I've only had wine, And it hasn't even given me a buzz at all. It just made me not mad at my neighbors having a fight club for dogs.
I had a Red Bull.
Yeah. Well.
Sometimes I drink those and I can go in the parking lot. Like, I feel like I can lift up cars. That's what caffeine does to me.
That's like a frat boy at the tailgates up at Penn State.
I love the frat boy, like, tough guy competitions at tailgates. I've been to a couple of those. Like, it's funny watching them chugging beers, popping collars.
We need to go to a tailgate, but I need to not be dating a fake frat boy. I feel like we would have fun just watching.
That would be funny. Do you like to people watch?
I love people watching.
I do too.
Nobody would notice me because I'd have clothes on.
I like to go to bars and clubs and stuff and like sit in a corner with a friend and we'll do like a play-by-play announcement.
We already said you, me, and Jesse were going to do that at some point somewhere.
Yeah, so we would like, me and Jesse would like, we call it the Crow's Nest. It's this like spot in this bar called Memories in Huntingdon. And we'll like sit up there and we'll like do a play-by-play of what's going on. And we love watching like people get rejected or the opposite. Like they finally win. They're going home, you know, with their buddies or newfound wives. I don't know. Husbands.
Ooh. Could be.
But yeah, we'll do it like old school Madden style too. You know, we'll be like, oh, here comes number 3. He's got 2 drinks in his hand.
Oh, I just burped. Sorry, but that's really funny.
The defense ain't taking the drink. He dropped the drink. He looks really disappointed. He looks at the ground. He looks at his phone. He looks at the ground. He is out of the bar. Not a touchdown. That's what we call a fumble.
So now you guys have an idea of what our future plans are. It's people watching, not bird watching. I was about to say bird watching. I'm like, they're not birds, they're people. So.
Yeah, but you can't do it like too hardcore. People are gonna think you're like
Ted Bundy.
Ted Bundy. That's a lot.
And I think on that note, I think it's time for me to go make some food. And not have us get in trouble because we've already done enough of our own version of Protect Our Parks, apparently. It's Protect Our Punks! Wait, what's a punk symbol, hand symbol? Do you guys have one?
I don't know. I just do this. It's
Okay.
really awkward, but it's how I do it.
If I call this Protect Our Punks, how many people would hate me?
No one's going to hate you. No one can hate
There
you.
are some people who hate me, you know this.
They hate you because they ain't you.
Well, thank you, Kevo Can't Dance. And we have a combined show this weekend at Juniata Brewing Company. So, Kevo Can't Dance, Jesse and the Ghost, and Annette Margaret. Because I'm hoping maybe someday I won't have a last name that rhymes with bagel. And even if I don't, when I'm an old lady, Annette Margaret still works. An old spinster. That's an old spinster name.
Spinster Marge.
Spinster Marge!
That could be your comedy name. Come to the stage. Spinster Marge.
Everybody welcome to the stage, old
And
Marge!
you come out in a walker.
Yeah!
With little tennis balls on the bottom of it. That'd be pretty rad.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. You guys
Appreciate
we better see you Saturday if you're listening. I don't know who's listening. Maybe thankfully for us, nobody was listening.
See you at the show. Come rage.
Yep, come rage. The rest of you are going to rage all night. Me, I'm probably done by like 11:30.
Same. I'm old.
We old. So, thank you guys and thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Catch you guys later. We do the thumbs up.